Today we're going to be changing air springs or airbags. First thing I did was chock the tires, just the front drives and steers, and I put this long bottle jack underneath the frame on this one side that I'm not working on, and stretched out the airbags a little bit so that I can get them out of there when I get the bolts out of them, or the nuts I should say. So yeah, got this nut here loosened up. These stay where they are. We just take this one off here and take this fitting off, this air fitting off, and we go get a wrench and do that. Now the air will run out. Shouldn't be much air in it. I'm going to fight with that. I need two hands to fight with that. These do just pull off, but I had to fight with a little bit, wiggle it left and right, and I needed two hands. And so there's a little stem in there. This one, the stem came out. It stayed in here. Not that it matters which side has the stem and which one doesn't. That little stem is in there. It goes inside the plastic hose so that you don't crush the plastic hose. It stays, so this little ferrule on here will crush onto the plastic hose, and the stem on the inside, a little tube on the inside, keeps it from crushing the hose. So anyway, that's all we do on that. Take this nut here off, and then one on the bottom, and that is about it. 9/16 open end wrench to get these ferrule caps off. And over here we got 3/4 inch socket for that nut there, and it's the same on the bottom. Got the top one off, get the bottom one here. Got the bottom shook loose, and we'll take a big screwdriver, pry the top. I already got it pried loose. It's not giving me any trouble. You don't even have to pry it. You shouldn't have to, just in case. Just push the thing down. Now this isn't going to work if you don't have it jacked up, because you'll have, these will be sitting down too low. Push it down. And pull it off the bottom. Now what I do need to do is get this fitting off and put it on my new airbag. But look how dry rotted these are. That's all. It's not in too good a shape. It's old. I'm going to get a scraper and get that. That's just me. You don't need to do that. I guess that's the body work guy in me. Don't like rough surfaces. But this was pretty rough up here, and I do recommend cleaning that off. These big bumps I was finding here, I couldn't tell what they were right off the bat, but now I know once I got all the crap off of them. These are like alignment nubs. They're just a little bit off-centered from the mounting hole, and I don't know if I'm getting this camera glasses on target or not, but I'll move it up and down just in case. We got the little recessed areas here for those. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. I'm going to read this yellow warning label first, and if I see anything in there important, I'll tell you what I saw. Getting this thing kind of somewhat aligned. Oh, I didn't wipe this off of there after I cleaned that top. It fell off and laid on this. Okay, I'm just going to try to collapse this thing a little bit. Get it lined up. I should come back up out of there. Okay, I found everything. The big washer goes on the bottom. One nut, one lock washer. And all that warning said on that airbag was to not inflate it when it's not installed, and restricted. Restricted means the shock absorber has to be on there. I'm just made sure both by sight that this was even around here on both sides, and felt that those two little alignment nubs were in the recessed areas. No reason to tighten them down too tight, because it is a self-locking nut for one thing, and another, there's no twisting action against this at all. It's strictly up and down, so does not need to be very tight beyond seating it. I got to get my fitting, put it in here. Got my fitting here, and I got to put a little piece of Teflon tape on it. Now, I don't even stop to think about it anymore. I just hold it in my right hand with the fitting facing to my left, and I wrap the fitting over the top from I wrap the tape over the top, looking at it from my side. And that way I know that, I start it over the top, but I'm wrapping it from this way on the bottom. The reason I do that is so that the threads don't turn the tape backwards when I start threading it back in and loosening it up. This way I know that it's going the same direction, and it's not going to come off of there while it's threading in. This is a very tight fit, this 9/16. I really stretched it to get it on there. It's probably a 15 millimeter. Let me change wrenches. 15 millimeter is a little loose, but the 9/16 is way too tight. Now I need the 9/16. Tighten these up. And you do not want to tighten these caps down too tight. That is not good. Just snug them down, and then once they bottom out, not a whole lot more. Quarter turn, half turn, I don't know, but not very much more. You don't want to tighten those brass fittings too tight. It'll crush the hose onto that that little tube inside the plastic hose, and it's just not a good idea. They don't need to be that tight. You can always snug them down a little bit more if they need it later, if they're leaking. Here's another little something on the since I broke the stud off of the airbag. You didn't know I did that. I did. When I took the airbag off on this side, the stud broke off. So I don't have a self-locking nut anymore. I'm just going to use a regular nut, 1/2 inch coarse thread. What is it, 1/2 inch 12, I think, and or 1/2 inch 13, and a lock washer. So that's what I'm putting it on with. This is the next day after I did the shocks and air springs on the truck, and the reason I'm videotaping this right now is to show that the airbags are up, and that would never have been the case. Shouldn't say never, but here in the last few months it would run out of air and sink down, and it was bad about that. Even when I pull into a bay to get unloaded, I have to shut the engine off, and then if the coil is sitting on the truck, it doesn't take long at all, just a couple minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and I'm out of air, and I got to start the thing up and run it inside before I can get the brakes to release and get out of there. That has been a problem. Well, half that problem was on the trailer. The company I work for, they fixed the trailer. It's their trailer. They fixed 2 airbags on that, and I had 2 bags leaking here. Anyway, I'm glad to see that it's up. The bags are inflated. The level is good because my frame is normally the same height as my tires, and it is. It's sitting that way right now.